Hello and welcome back, and today we're going to look at QNAP, NAS and PLEX. What is the best NAS for your money right now? We've got all my winter around the corner, you want to get spending. So let's find out what's the best PLEX NAS. Okay, so I know my videos do have a tendency to run on a little bit, so what I'm going to try and do is keep this as concise as possible. Today I want to talk about QNAP NASs and what is the best NAS out there from QNAP for your Plex media server. I've narrowed the entire range to the three devices you see on screen right now, and I'm going to tell you why. In third place, I'm going to say it is the TS253BE. Now right now this retails for about 300 nickel without the VAT and without hard drive media, and the CPU inside is definitely a good one. It is the J3455 Intel CPU. It's a quad core with a great frequency, about 1.5 gigahertz that goes up to 2.3 when pushed, and the device arrives with between 2 gig and 16 gig of DDR3 memory depending how you need it. And this device for Plex is great. There is actually a better version of it that's got remote control and different ports and an SD card slot. But if you're just interested in Plex, this is definitely the one for you. Not only because it's got native hardware transcoding as well, but it's got software transcoding for Plex, and Plex is able to utilize that CPU if you own a Plex Pass and go to that little option that says make my CPU hurt. You can head there, and this device can be utilized as a Plex media server and transcode some great large files as you need them. But if you don't need transcoding, it's still a great Plex media server NAS with excellent opportunities for upgrading RAM in the future. As well as that, it also has a PCIe slot built into the rear that lets you add other elements for 10 GBE and SSD caching. And for just over 300 nickel, it is definitely the pick of the pack for me at that price threshold. Now, if you want a better performing Plex media server and a better NAS overall, right now there's two options, an old option and a new option. A very old option is the TVS 471. It's a 4-bay from QNAP that's been around for quite a few years now. It might even be 3 years old now, but it's still consistently one of the best QNAP NASs out there for Plex. The problem is, because it's so old, there aren't a lot of units out there. So if you are able to get hold of the 471, definitely go for it. But otherwise, if you can't find it, a great alternative at that price threshold is the TVS 682. This 4-bay device arrives with the ability to add SSDs for SSD caching. It's got those PCIe slots built into it, so you can add all those options from before, but multiple slots. It's got HDMI built into it, and HDMI 2.0 in fact. And I should mention that all of the devices we're talking about today not only give you the ability to have a great Plex media server with and without transcoding all the way up to 4K, but on top of that, these devices arrive with the ability to have Plex via HDMI. So you can have a Plex NAS set up in your home or in your attic or whatever that you can access remotely. Or you can use the same device to be accessed remotely over the internet, as well as with a remote control and a TV connected to it, thereby removing any network access to the streaming of your media from Plex, but still give you the ability to access anywhere in the world, which isn't that bad. Now that device may cost a little bit more, but that's because it arrives with far more memory, starting at 8 gig that can go all the way up to 32 gig, and on top of that it's got a great Intel i3 dual core CPU inside. Though although it's got fewer cores than the Intel CPU in that 253BE, far more efficient CPU with hyper-threading enabled, and is a better CPU, 7th gen I believe, and overall it is definitely the best priced device out of these three. So if you can stretch high to those two there in the middle, the TVS 682 or the TVS 471, definitely consider those, because they're your pick in terms of hardware and what you get for your money. And finally, the very best QNAP NAS right now is a Plex media server. It was a tough pick actually between this and the 1277T, but it all comes down to transcoding. It is the TVS 1282. It's still consistently the best 8-bay and Plex media server NAS from QNAP, and still consistently the best Plex media server NAS out there right now. I mean, again, we were trying to opt for the TS 1277. Great, it's got an AMD based CPU, the Ryzen 7, and it's insanely powerful, but it doesn't have the same transcoding engine that this 7th gen Intel i7 has, and therefore we just had to say that this is definitely the unit. It's got a £2 price tag, which is pretty scary, but it arrives with a remote control, multiple PCIe slots, those HDMI slots, 8 bays, 4 SSD bays, up to 64 gig of memory. It is a powerhouse of storage, and it's available with an i3, an i5 or an i7 based CPU, and it's just got all the options. And in terms of future proofing, you cannot beat that device, the TVS 1282. In fact, that device and indeed the 4-bays were the best Plex media server NAS from QNAP last year as well. These are consistently great devices, so don't be fooled into buying the newest NAS just because you think it'll be good for Plex, because right now these three are the best QNAP NASs out there for you from QNAP. So otherwise, thank you so much for watching. There's a link in the description that gives you more information about these devices as well as where to buy for the best price. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, buy your NAS from Spam, subscribe to the other channel, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.